I don't want to hear any of you bitching that I'm sitting down, okay? I'm an old man, right? It is what it is. I'm an old man. Listen, I'm not even going to lie to you. I think this chapter is about to set up potentially one of the top 3 top-tier fights within this series. Yura, Uraha, Natsuki, and Hokuto all facing off. I think I'm going to bust.
Everything. Like, I hate wasted potential. That shit crushes your spirit. It really does. It crushes your spirit.
Real quick before we get into the video, if you like the content that I make and you want to support me even further, consider becoming a member to the channel or potentially support me on Patreon for behind the scenes stuff on the channel. We're trying to get up to 10 Patreons supporting me over there, and if we get that, I'll drop a setup tour / vlog on my video process. Anyways, sellout time over, thank you. This chapter picks up where chapter 90 left off, with Hokuto simply appearing right next to Hakuri, and with the simple question just says, yo, where's Uraha? Now, we don't even get an answer to the question on how the fuck he just got here. Was he teleported in? Did he fucking run here? Did he use the front door? I have no idea. Either way, he's here. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think he's gonna be a fucking problem. Like a serious problem, because Hokuto notices that Hakuri is the guy that's next to him and attempts to draw his sword and is then stopped by Kiri, who stomps on the handle here. Now, it is worth mentioning that Hakuri has a big target on his back right now. This dude is literally being targeted by the Kaminabi traitors, who have been running after him pretty much since this raid started. They either need to restrain or kill him, because let's not forget, if this man makes it to the Shinoichi, it's game over for the Hishaku here, because he can just teleport that sword into the storehouse and they're just never seen it again. Like, if he dies, it goes with them. I mean, they could probably torture him, but no one wants to see Hakuri torture, let's be honest here. Enough, okay? That dude suffered enough. So anyway, Hokuto tries to draw his blade, but she's stopped. He is completely just utterly stopped by a nerfed Kiri here, who isn't able to cut through the armor of Hokuto. Now, we will circle back around to that in a second here, because I think that is somewhat important, but Hokuto does call her weak, and Kiri says, duh, it's a diversion. Now, I'm just going to be honest with you, I think that's just straight cap. I think that's just a fucking lie. I don't believe this for a second. I'm convinced that Kiri is just that fucking nerf right now. She killed a couple of these lion heads in the previous chapter, and I'd be inclined to believe that these nerfs stack. They even apparently stacked on Uraha right here. So as for this diversion, this was all for an attempt for Hakuri to use an ISO blast or ISO blast on Hokuto here. And I wish I was lying to you when I said that this man just straight up ate this blast. He tanks this shit. This dude straight up tanked it so hard it knocked Hakuri back. It deflected off this dude. Like, I know Hakuri is suffering from the big bad nerfs of his coma in the aftermath of the Rakazaichi here, but even still, the fact that he got knocked on his ass from this is insane. Imagine punching someone so hard, your punch does nothing to you, but instead fucking knocks you on your ass from the force you put into it. That's insane to me. Anyways, outside of Hakuri even notes to himself here, I know, like, I've used this like 3 times here, but this dude didn't even stumble. And moreover from that, this dude didn't even seem to care after the fact either. He didn't even care that he just quit with this. He had a slight nosebleed. He doesn't even look in Hakuri's direction. He just continues his line of questioning with Kiri here. And honestly, outside of Yura and Hirohiku, I think Hokuto might be my new favorite member of the Hishaku so far. I'm not gonna lie to you. Anyways, Kiri also notices that Uraha is probably feeling the effects of these lion heads here. So when you really think about it, if Bald Hishaku could keep summoning these things and have them keep attacking our group here, he could, in theory, just keep nerfing the members of the Kaminabi until they are just essentially former shells of themselves here. Now, none other than Natsuki pulls up by cutting a hole into the wall. He cuts a cube into the wall and kicks it at the back of Hokuto here, who proceeds to then cut that block into 3 pieces. Now, I know it's very subtle, but it does just let you know just how fucking fast this dude is with a sword. I mean, we've already seen it with Hokuto lighting cigarettes with just the friction of a sword, which is pretty cool. But so too, by the way, is Natsuki, because this dude is also fast as fuck. He comes flying through this tiny ass hole here, and he kicks Hokuto through a door. Now, he has a little bit of a back and forth with Kiri here, and this dude who tells him to stop destroying the building, which is just outright funny to me, because you're watching 2 powerhouses fight in an enclosed space, and your first thought is, don't break the building. Yeah, okay, bro. Get a grip. Get a fucking grip here. Anyway, Natsuki introduces himself to Hokuto, and he reveals that his brother was actually killed by a member of the Hishaku, which, judging by the tattoo on his hand, he must be Hishaku. And also that his brother was the former wielder of the Cloud Gouger. Now, you can see the little exclamation mark from Hokuto here, like a light bulb, literally going off on his side of his brain, because he recognizes this dude. He knows who he is, and he just thinks to himself, how can I blackmail this dude? So he proposes to Natsuki, you know, if you fight me and beat me, I will reveal your brother's killer, and in exchange, if I beat you, you tell me Uraha's location. Now, this little setup is so fucking good, because obviously Hokuto knows and is looking for a fight to go all out in. So him saying that he's going to reveal the location of his killer to Natsuki is going to spur him on to go even more all out against this fight. And the unbeknownst cherry on top of all of this for Natsuki is that Hokuto doesn't even seem too interested in fighting him. He's after Uraha. And obviously, Natsuki has a crazy fucking one-sided beef with Uraha here, which we will get into both of these little points later. Anyways, these two get down to business with Natsuki dashing towards Hokuto and slicing at his arm, which actually slices through the armor, which, as I mentioned earlier, Hokuto notes two things. One, he's fast, and two, he's cutting through the armor, which, again, as I mentioned earlier, that second one is something Kiri couldn't even come close to earlier. Also, speaking of which, it turns out that Kiri's grandfather half-slaughtered both the Misaka brothers back in the day. So yeah, Itsuo Shirakai is a fucking menace. I'm genuinely scared for if and when we ever meet this dude, and I've got a sneaky feeling though that we may never actually see him in action. But anyway, before Natsuki is able to cut off Hokuto's army here, Hokuto releases his sword and then uses that one free hand to block the attacking hand of Natsuki, grabbing the sword with his free hand and then proceeding to attack Natsuki, who blocks with his second blade and uses the original attacking sword to try and stab Hokuto in the face, who then narrowly dodges that attack. And it's at this point Kiri, once again acting as the diversion, cuts a block again in the wall and kicks it towards Hokuto. Like, seriously, what the fuck is it with these Kaminabi people and cutting blocks and squares into walls around this place? It's kind of getting out of hand now. The block situation, the square situation is insane. Anyways, we get a reveal that Natsuki's sorcery is lightning based, which is pretty fucking cool. Really nails home the fact that this dude's whole life sort of revolves around avenging his brother and carrying on that legacy. But this lightning blast heavily reminded me of Sojo's May blast against the anti-Cloud Gouger squad way back when. But it is here that we finally get to see more of that one-sided beef from Natsuki about Uraha here, because he recalls that Uraha has always seemed to be at the center of everything, and I think that's just funny as fuck to me, because realistically, at the core of all of this, Uraha just simply wants a friend of his own age here, which is quite funny. But Natsuki wasn't any of that, or he wasn't having any of this at all. But I do also want to point out that Hokuto completely just eats this blast, because the armor that he's wearing envelops him almost like a turtle shell, which I don't know if this is like samurai gear, like war gear, or if this is a part of his sorcery. Maybe he's tricked people and he's lied about his sorcery. Maybe his armor is actually part of that doll sorcery that Azumi sort of figured out. Who fucking knows? I want to see your theories about that in the comments down below, but he's definitely manipulating this armor in some way, shape, or form, and he does kind of seem like the type of dude to maybe potentially lie about his sorcery. Either that, or maybe just Azumi just got it straight up wrong here. But you can see Natsuki thinking to himself, where's Uraha, you ask? What a shame. He already bit the dust, and good riddance. He was nothing but a thorn in my side. And it just occurred to me that this just adds another layer of sweetness to that proposition that Hokuto gave Natsuki here, because, you see, he's told Natsuki that he'll tell him who killed the Cloud Gouger bearer if he wins the fight, knowing full well it was him, meaning there's a possibility Hokuto will end the bloodline of both the Misaka brothers here, which is kind of insane in and of itself. But then on the other hand, Hokuto proposes to Natsuki to tell him where Uraha is, and Natsuki has entered this fight knowing that Uraha was dead to the best of his knowledge. As far as he's concerned, Uraha's dead, and instead of telling Hokuto that, he instead is fueled with rage to fight Hokuto for looking past him, for looking at someone at the past and instead of looking at the future, basically. And as Natsuki is thinking about all of this, none other than fucking Uraha pops up. He comes crashing through the fucking ceiling with Yura in tow, and you can see the absolute glee the fucking glee on Hokuto's face here, and the utter dismay on Natsuki. And honestly, these three might become my favorite trio dynamic within this series. I just have such a fucking good feeling that these three on the panels is going to be nothing but sheer comedy. I just got this feeling it's going to be such a good fight to see this play out. But this does now leave a question. How does this play out, right? Does Uraha go and fight with Natsuki against Yura and Hokuto in a 2v2, or does Hokuto demand that Yura switch opponents with him, and knowing how much Hokuto wants this fight, Yura obliges? Because that's something that I could see happening. He is a very strategical dude, and if he sees that Hokuto is gonna fight to the best of his abilities and potentially kill off Uraha here, I see no reason as to why Yura wouldn't do this. But the ironic part here is that Hokuto was disappointed originally that he couldn't fight Ibuki, Natsuki's brother, the former Cloud Gouger bearer, at full strength. He's unknowingly going to get that same situation here against a former sword bearer in Uraha, who has been nerfed by his fucking own teammates' sorcery. Bald Hishaku's sorcery is nerfing Uraha currently right now, potentially to the same extent that Kiri is being nerfed. So it's kind of funny to me that this dude might never get the satisfaction that he's seeking here. But all of this does leave Kiri and Hakuri free. With Yura and Hokuto obviously engaged in combat, they can't exactly leave freely anymore. So those two are probably free to leave, which is probably for the best, because again, if Hakuri dies or gets injured, the Hishaku essentially just have free reign towards the Shinoichi and the Swordmaster, which is interesting. Very interesting things are coming. But anyways, that is everything from me. If you've not already, please be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, if you want to support me further on the channel, consider subscribing to my Patreon for behind the scenes goodies. Again, if we hit 10 Patreons, I will set up, I will do a setup tour or slash a vlog of my video process. And yeah, that's everything from me. Much fucking love. Big fucking kisses. Peace.